It looked like an ordinary t-shirt. It featured one of the most famous women in the world, and it was hanging in one of Britain's biggest fashion stores. There was just one problem. Rihanna had never approved it. The strange part, Topshop hadn't stolen the photograph. They had legally paid to use it. They had a valid license. They believed they had done everything by the book, so when Rihanna sued them, almost everyone assumed the fashion retailer would win. But what happened next surprised the fashion industry, changed how celebrity image rights are viewed, and proved that buying a photograph doesn't always mean you can sell the person in it. This is the true story of the lawsuit that changed fashion forever. By the time the lawsuit began, one question was already dividing the fashion industry. How could Rihanna sue over a photograph that Topshop had legally paid to use? To understand the answer, you first have to understand how the shirt ended up on store shelves. The photograph wasn't stolen. It had been taken by an independent photographer during the filming of Rihanna's We Found Love music video in Northern Ireland. Like many celebrity photographs, it was licensed through a photo agency. Topshop paid for that license. On paper, everything appeared completely legitimate. The retailer wasn't copying another company's design. They weren't using an illegal image. They had paid to use the photograph exactly as the licensing agreement allowed. So the company turned it into a graphic t-shirt and began selling it in stores across the UK. To Topshop, it wasn't controversial. It was simply another celebrity fashion item. And that decision would soon become one of the most closely watched legal battles in the fashion industry. But Rihanna wasn't claiming Topshop had stolen the photograph. In fact, everyone agreed the retailer had legally licensed the image. That wasn't the problem. Rihanna's legal team argued something much more subtle. They believed customers walking into Topshop would assume Rihanna had approved the t-shirt herself, and that assumption was worth millions. By 2012, Rihanna wasn't just one of the biggest music stars in the world. She had become a global fashion icon. Her hairstyles were copied. Her outfits sold out. Major brands wanted to work with her. Fans didn't just listen to Rihanna. They wanted to dress like her, and that made her image incredibly valuable. The photograph Topshop had chosen wasn't random. It had been taken during the filming of Rihanna's We Found Love music video. She was wearing clothing that looked unmistakably connected to that period of her career. To many fans, it didn't look like an ordinary paparazzi photograph. It looked like official merchandise. Rihanna argued that customers could easily believe she had partnered with Topshop, even though she hadn't. The case was no longer about who owned the photograph. It had become a battle over something much harder to define: reputation, endorsement, and the commercial value of celebrity identity. When the case finally reached the High Court in London, everything came down to one question. Would an ordinary shopper believe Rihanna had approved the t-shirt? That was the issue, not copyright, not who owned the photograph, but whether Topshop had unintentionally created the impression that Rihanna was connected to the product. During the case, the court examined much more than the image itself. They looked at Rihanna's career, her influence in fashion, her previous commercial partnerships, and how fans interacted with her brand. Rihanna had already collaborated with major fashion companies. To many customers, seeing her face on a t-shirt inside a major fashion retailer didn't feel unusual. It felt believable. That became one of the most important parts of the case. The judge concluded that a significant number of shoppers could reasonably believe Rihanna had authorized the shirt, and if customers believed she had endorsed something she never approved, Topshop could benefit from Rihanna's reputation without her permission. That crossed the line. The court ruled in Rihanna's favor. Topshop was ordered to stop selling the t-shirt. The retailer had legally licensed the photograph, but the court decided that wasn't enough. The lawsuit didn't create a brand new law, but it changed the way fashion brands thought about celebrity images. Until then, many companies believed that licensing a photograph was enough. Rihanna's victory showed it wasn't. Even with a legal license, companies still had to consider one crucial question. Would customers believe the celebrity had approved the product? If the answer was yes, the legal risk became much greater. For celebrities, the case reinforced something incredibly valuable. Their reputation wasn't just personal, it had become part of their business. And for fashion brands, it was a warning. Buying the rights to a photograph didn't automatically buy the right to sell someone's identity. More than a decade later, Rihanna versus Topshop is still studied as one of the UK's most significant celebrity endorsement cases. It proved that, in modern business, a reputation can be just as valuable as the product itself. Topshop legally bought the photograph, but they couldn't buy Rihanna's reputation. Sometimes the most valuable thing in the room isn't the product, it's the name attached to it.